jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel here on subscribestar.com. Folks, thank you for joining us here. Thank you for supporting the effort. And we have got a big story. There is this thing called the Berlin Wall. Now, after World War II, or right at the end of it, right, both U.S. forces and Allied forces came from the West, and from the East, we had Russia coming up to retake Berlin from the Germans, the Nazi Germans, right? Had to free the world from the Nazis. And Berlin was the capital of Germany. And it was the capital of all Naziville. Well, there was supposed to be some friendly sharing going on there. Some liberty, freedom, the end of the war, celebration, and all that. Well, at some point in there, the communists decided that they wanted to build the Berlin Wall. Now, I don't know how this could be kept secret, folks, having worked in a little bit of construction, but how do you, just create a wall that stretches for miles and miles overnight and have the materials and the crew ready to do such a thing and keep it all a secret? Well, it wasn't a secret. They built the Berlin Wall, and we're just supposed to expect that history will tell us it came up overnight. And then the Berlin Wall came down with the fall of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War. Well, right now we have SHTF, and we have a new Cold War being started. It is incredible. And we can see it is so transparent. It is not the European Union. It is not the president of the United States government. That is not who is making this happen. It is not being caused by Putin. It is being caused by world economic powers. Now, their tools, the people they use, yeah, that would be the politicians. But we are now facing what appears to be a Berlin Wall moment. There was an attempt to move NATO forces and more Western economic financial institutions into Ukraine to further capitalize in it and use it as a, shall we say, a smorgasbord for greed and corruption. Well, it basically failed in so much and in so far as they couldn't keep Russia from freeing up eastern Ukraine from these, shall we say, less than desirable types, right? So there's now a Berlin Wall moment. The Cold War has commenced, I believe, and NATO is announcing it's going to move troops to the western border of Ukraine. That's right, folks. Now, not into Ukraine, because, well, Ukraine isn't a NATO country. But I think Sweden and Finland now are. So we have quite a move here. We have a Cold War, folks. I think Henry Kissinger's desire to kind of simmer things down, well, that may have failed. They want to create an East versus West that is hardcore, hard line. They want an iron curtain hung back between, and they're going to get it, right? You've got the G7, we'll just call them that, which is the European Union nations and the United States and maybe Canada, versus Russia, China, India, Brazil, and others, the BRICS nations. Right, so what else is happening at the moment that could lend itself to our understanding that, yeah, it's hit the fan? And they're not going to make it better. They're going to make it worse, which for you and I results in economic hardship, lower standard of living, more intrusive government, more restrictive rules, and more conflict, chaos, and social, shall we say, violence. So what else is NATO planning? They want 300,000 high readiness troops. We talked about this yesterday. High readiness troops. They called the number 650%. I was like, where'd they grab that from? Well, they just grabbed 300,000 high readiness troops. Now, considering the state of affairs of the European military, the NATO military, what does that mean, high readiness? That all over Europe, military will be ready with camouflage lipstick and polished high heels so they can hand their rifles over to the Ukrainian Nazis to go fight the Russians some more? And that's if, folks, the World Economic Forum commands more conflict. I mean, really, that's what NATO seems to be about. And I will pick on them because they deserve it. Now, what else is going on that lets us know that they're rebuilding the Berlin Wall? They're rehanging the Iron Curtain. Well, who's doing it? Right? They're all doing it. Well, a Ukrainian elite unit claims that it has run sabotage operations inside of Russia. Okay. Right? There is a massive conflict inside of Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine and Russia. So by taking these steps, and I'm not saying it's not possible, running sabotage operations inside Russia, yeah, that's really going to fix the problem, right? You see, that here's kind of where the issue is. Ukraine, right? Mismanaged, very corrupt, a financial or monetary toy of the West is not going to fix their problems by sabotaging Russian infrastructure and business. It's just going to bring more attention to it. But that just lets you know that, yeah, a sabotage operation is very much a spy operation, right? So they want Russia pissed off. They want to keep them pissed off. And continuing to do things like that will. And here is yet another example. A naval mine, as in an explosive device in the water, was found at Russia's CPC Black Sea terminal. There you have it, folks. A mine was found there. Now, was that planted by Ukrainian military or Ukrainian Navy? Was it planted by some other naval organization? Was it just accidentally floating around in the Black Sea? Because Zelensky, mined the harbors around Ukraine's seaports. So once again, placing explosive devices, is that going to make things better for real? No, folks. It's going to reinforce the idea that there needs to be a Cold War. We're at the Berlin Wall moment, folks. It doesn't take just one day, but it will be done. They're doing it. They're creating an us versus them, an East versus West, green energy versus carbon energy, even though both Russia and China and India are nuclear powers and nuclear powered nations and moving in that direction. Now, this also, folks, is very important and plays into what is going on here with NATO, Russia, and the world in a military standoff. The U.S. Army, folks, not the Mexican Army, not the Brazilian Army, not the Argentinian Army, not the Nairobi Army, the United States Government Army has now dropped high school diploma requirement under the Joe Biden administration. You can get in the Army now without a high school diploma. Sounds to me like they're having recruiting problems. Yeah, folks, we are supposed to believe the woke Pentagon under General Milli Vanilli and fruitcake Austin Lloyd is doing a great job with their CRT and LGB programs there, right? The U.S. military, folks, will become a massive joke to the enemies that Biden and the World Economic Forum have created for us, America. Now, the Army and Marines used to take men and make them the world's premier fighting men. Today, use the correct pronoun or they will pull your hair like a screeching queen. No wonder Russia isn't afraid to stand up to NATO and the West. And China is lining up their war machine for Taiwan. Folks, rebuilding the Berlin Wall, rebuilding the Great Wall of China. We're going to have a bifurcated world, a split world. That means energy, resources, food. We have big problems. We need to fix this in America. But they're going to take us down the road deeper into SHTFville. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Share this video with others. Internet address above. Share it with others so they too can wake up and see what is happening so they can take the appropriate action to protect themselves, their family, as we go into this long economic downturn and political upheaval phase. God bless America and Semper Fi.